Whatever the hour, whatever the film or the Eurovision drama, it's coffee time! This is Emmanuel calling from Coffee Break, where we take a break and discuss about films, Eurovision, and much more. Grab yourself a mug of hot tea or coffee, take a sip, and let's dive into this. Let's talk about the Golden Globes. So I'm going to make an effort to keep this as compact and as dense as possible. I'm going to briefly talk about my predictions for the 2026 Golden Globe nominations. So kicking this off with Best Picture Drama, I obviously have Hamnet at number 1, and then Sinners at a close number 2, Sentimental Value, Frankenstein, and It Was Just an Accident. I believe those are locks when it comes to the Golden Globes, and potentially, probably the best picture lineup in the in the Academy Awards. And then at number 6, I do have The Secret Agent. I'm going off from a hunch here because I have Train Dreams as an alternative, but for some reason I believe The Secret Agent, I don't know, I mean, probably because I'm predicting him to win best actor in a motion picture drama. Spoiler alert. But I mean, Trade Dreams could also squeeze in as well. At this point it is a threat for the best picture lineup in the Oscars, and arguably a bigger one than The Secret Agent is. Not that The Secret Agent is completely out of the race when it comes to best picture in the Oscars, but Train Dreams is definitely the more probable contender. Still, there's something in my gut that says that The Secret Agent is going to prevail in Golden Globes, but that's just my opinion. Moving on to Best Musical or Comedy. I mean, Best Picture Musical or Comedy. Obviously, One Battle After Another is the clear frontrunner here, Marty Supreme being the clear runner-up here. And then at number 3, I do have Wicked. I'm going on a limb here, I know, but if I don't have it at number 3, I might actually... Which other film could be number 3? And Wicked, I know the reception has been fairly vitriolic, and it has been underperforming in the awards season thus far. I mean, we only had Critics' Choice, but still, there's something about it that's so much weaker than the first film. Unfairly, I like it more than the first film. I love that film, Wicked for Good and Wicked. I love both of those films, but I think that Golden Globes are not going to snub this beautiful film. So I have it up number 3, and then number 4, and because I also think Cynthia Erivo is getting that best actress in comedy or musical. If she doesn't, she's cooked, and we're all cooked as Wicked supporters. And then Jay Kelly at number 4. I do think that it's pretty much a lock when it comes to Golden Globes. And then Begonia, a little bit of a risk here, but I mean, who else could surprise? Potentially no other choice, because I do have The Testament of Enlil at number 6, and I'll stand by that prediction, even though I have not seen Testament of Enlil or Jay Kelly, and I didn't really respond to Begonia. I kind of hated the ending. I mean, I loved it, but I also kind of hated it, if you know what I mean. So that ending sort of crashed and burned the film for me. But yes, I can see Golden Globes going for Begonia over no other choice. I think that BAFTA and potentially the Oscars are going to be more embracing of that film. And then at Best Director, I have Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, obviously. And then number 2, Chloe Zhao. Number 3, Ryan Coogler. I do think that he's getting in Golden Globes as I thought he would get into Critics' Choice, and he did, but and potentially SAG might go for Ryan Coogler, but I'm almost I'm 90%, 80 to 90% certain that the Oscars are going to unfortunately snub him. It's just a hunch and a probable outcome. And then number 4, I have Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, and number 6, there's obviously going to be an international. I mean, we have Joachim Trier, but Jafar Panahi is a firm lock when it comes to the Best Director category. And then as an alternative, I would probably go on a limb and go with the Brazilian director that made The Secret Agent. I'm going on a limb here, and I don't think I have anything to add here. This is my clear locks when it comes to Best Director at Golden Globes. And surprise, surprise, the one who I think is missing out in the Oscars is Ryan Coogler. And then Best Actress Drama, I do have Jessie Buckley at number 1. I think she's sweeping the entire season. It's the performance of the year, potentially. She's utterly stunning in Hamnet. And then at number 2, I do have Renate Reinsve for Sentimental Value. Need to catch my breath here. And then at number 3, I actually do have Jennifer Lawrence because she's a darling in the Golden Globe Awards, and she was even nominated for No Hard Feelings a few years back, or was it last year? I don't quite remember. But I think that she's going to get in Golden Globes. I haven't seen the film yet. My sister has, and she told me that she was bringing it in Die My Love. So I do think that she's a clear number 3. Those 3 are locks in my opinion. This is a fairly barren category. And then number 4, I actually do have Tessa Thompson for Hedda. It's slowly rebounding a little bit, and she's definitely, well, not definitely, but I do have her getting in at Best Actress Drama in the Golden Globes. And then number 5, I have Julia Roberts. I wish that the film were, I mean, I loved the film, but I wish that it was more of an Oscar push. I mean, I would love it to have more of an Oscar oomph, so she could make it into the final 5 in the Oscars, but I think that this is the only place where she's going to get recognized, and it's a brilliant performance, and I wish that it would be more recognized, but the film was so divisive and had also a fairly vitriolic reception, so that's not going to happen. But I do think that she's getting in Golden Globes, right? I mean, she has to. She can't just not get anywhere. That would be such a snub. And then number 6, I do have Sydney Sweeney for Christie. I haven't seen the film. It sort of slipped through the cracks. I can't watch every single film that comes out. And she's giving a transformative performance. I realized that after seeing a few photos and the trailer, and if the film was strong enough, I believe that she could actually get the Oscar nomination, and Ben Foster the sort of coattail her in supporting actor, but the film crashed and burned in the box office. It bombed hard. So, I mean, if she even gets the Golden Globe nomination or a SAG nomination, a lone SAG nomination, I think that would be very sweet for her. And I don't think that it's something to completely write off. As an alternative, I do have I do have Judy Foster for A Private Life, and I would love to watch that film when it comes out. And if Judy Foster popped up instead of Julia Roberts or Sydney Sweeney, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. But I haven't heard anybody talk about this film that much. It's just sort of a hunch. So that's about it. Judy Foster, and I thought an alternative here, a firm one as well. So my final predictions for Best Actress Drama at Golden Globes is Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Renate Reinsve for Sentimental Value, Jennifer Lawrence for Die My Love, Tessa Thompson for Hedda, Julia Roberts for After the Hunt, and Sydney Sweeney for Christie. So then moving on to Best Actress Musical or Comedy. Rose Byrne, I have winning. Amanda Seyfried could also pull off a Golden Globes Best Actress win here for musical or comedy, obviously. And then number 3, I do have Emma Stone. I think that she's definitely getting into Golden Globes. I could see a win potentially. I mean, that would be a little bit hard for her. I mean, winning, and if she wins, she might actually get into the Oscars for that performance. I mean, if you watch the film, try to watch the film and imagine that performance getting into the Oscars. Fine. I'm totally buying it. But then you watch the ending and you're still imagining her in the Oscars. I could never follow that logic, and I really hope that she doesn't take the place of potentially Jason Finity or another contender. But she's Emma Stone. She's fairly bringing it in a large majority of Begonia, and she's definitely going in Golden Globes. And then number 4, I have Cynthia Erivo. I wish that she were a more major contender, because her work in Wicked is so spectacular, but she turns out to be a fairly weak player here. So I do think that she's getting the Golden Globe, but that's about it. And then Jason Finity, obviously, and Kate Hudson at number 6. I actually don't have an alternative. Potentially Eva Victor, but I believe those 6 actresses are the locks for this category. I mean, I haven't seen Song Sang Blue, but Kate Hudson is in my top 10 for the final 5. Eva Victor isn't. So I do think that she's getting in at actress, musical or comedy. So my final predictions for Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy are Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs at KQ, Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee, Emma Stone for Begonia, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good, Jason Finity for One Battle After Another, and Kate Hudson for Song Sang Blue. And then moving on to Best Actor Drama. Wagner Moura, I'm predicting to win. It could be a Fernando Torres deja vu moment, and that would be a little bit unprecedented and a little bit odd, because 2 years in a row, two Brazilian actors win. The one is female, the other is male. That would be kind of cool, right? And I don't think that it's entirely impossible. I mean, who else? Michael B. Jordan, could he pull off a win? Maybe. And then at number 3, I do have Joel Edgerton. I watched Train Dreams last night. It's such a brilliant film, and I loved his performance and the emotional power that it exuded. So he's firmly in Golden Globes and the Oscar, I might add. And then number 4, I do have Dwayne Johnson for The Smashing Machine. Could he pull off a Best Actor nomination in the Oscars? I don't think so anymore. I've seen the film. He's fairly compelling in The Smashing Machine, as is his co-star Emily Blunt, but enough people have managed to talk me out of it, and not that I'm sort of, there are doubts that have risen, and I do think that he's getting a lone Golden Globe nomination, potentially a lone SAG or Golden Globes and SAG combo, but when it comes to the Oscars, I think that he's out of the race. Yes, he has makeup. Yes, there is a glimpse of a narrative, but on the other hand, it almost reads as shameless Oscar bait that even awards voters might be put off by, and the film is definitely one to alienate the voters. So Golden Globes, sure. Beyond that, he's out of the Oscars. And then, talk about a person who's out. Jeremy Allen White from Springsteen. His performance as his rendition of Bruce Springsteen in Deliver Me From Nowhere, that's done, that's over. Potentially a lone Golden Globe nomination, and that's it. He's out. And then at number 6, I do have Russell Crowe for Nuremberg. What a stunning film, and he's so commanding and so gripping in Nuremberg. I loved that performance and that film as well, and I do think that he could actually shock everyone and get into SAG and, hear me out, potentially the Oscars. Golden Globes is not, I mean, it's up for grabs. It's possible. It's feasible. And as an alternative, I have Daniel Day-Lewis for his tour de force work in Anemone. That's monologue. You know the one I'm talking about, the first one. That's an all-timer for a living legend, honestly. Daniel Day-Lewis is so captivating in Anemone, but I needed to fit Russell Crowe in, and I do think that Daniel Day-Lewis could be seeing a lone BAFTA nomination for his performance, and I think that he's out from the Oscars. But Jeremy Allen White has one chance to get into any precursor, and that is Golden Globes. Dwayne Johnson, same, potentially SAG, but same. And Russell Crowe, he could get a lone SAG nomination, but Daniel Day-Lewis could also get a lone BAFTA nomination. Are you following my logic here? Probably not, but I'm not blaming you. Those are my predictions. to sum it all up, and Russell Crowe, I do think that he might get in Golden Globes. I would hope so anyway. Hope Diction of sorts, but I mean, who else? Daniel Day-Lewis could definitely see that happening as well. So my final predictions for Best Actor Drama are Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams, Dwayne The Rock Johnson for The Smashing Machine, Jeremy Allen White for Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere, and Russell Crowe for Nuremberg. So I completely forgot about Best Actor Musical or Comedy. Basically, there aren't major swings here. Timothée Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Ethan Hawke consist my top 3, and then I do have George Clooney, because if he doesn't get in Golden Globes in Actor Musical or Comedy either, he's basically cooked. He could get SAG. To be honest, I just think that he's definitely getting SAG, and him missing out on Critics' Choice sort of puts him a little bit out of the race. So I do think that musical or comedy in Golden Globes isn't a long shot for Clooney, but yeah, I don't think that he is entirely probable, and I don't think that he has he's going to face an uphill battle for the Oscar nomination. And then Jesse Plemons I do also have at Best Actor Musical or Comedy, and Lee Byung-hun. Basically my Critics' Choice lineup for Best Actor, if you switch Ethan Hawke with Michael B. Jordan, but Michael B. Jordan is of course competing in lead actor drama, so he's not in this category. As an alternative, even though Lee Byung-hun is kind of a Hope Diction, a more reasonable and feasible one than my Hope Diction for him in Critics' Choice, which didn't pan out in the end. But my alternative would be... What would be my alternative? Tonatiuh for Kiss of the Spider-Woman. That would be a very cool nomination. And then Hugh Jackman for Song Sang Blue, I also think could be. I mean, those are long shots. Yeah, and potentially Brendan Fraser for Rental Family. I would throw him as an alternative as well, but I think that my 6 are probably the ones that are going to end up happening. So my final predictions for Best Actor Musical or Comedy are Timothée Chalamet for Majesté Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, George Clooney for Jay Kelly, and Lee Byung-hun for No Other Choice. And then Best Supporting Actress, call that recency bias, but I have my top 5 here, and at number 6, that's a question mark. I do have Wunmi Musaku. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. She was excellent in Sinners, and call it recency bias, but I do have her in after her getting in Critics' Choice. Shockingly, I didn't see that coming. There are a few alternatives floating around. To be honest, I'm not 100% putting all of my chips in Wunmi Musaku. Gwyneth Paltrow could pull off a lone Golden Globes nomination. Odessa Azayan, both for Marty Supreme. Could see her popping up here and the Oscars. I could more easily see her over Gwyneth Paltrow, but that's a story for another video. And I do think that Regina Hall could pull off a lone Golden Globe nomination. Could she be out? I mean, out. She could definitely be seeing nothing, but I think that she's floating around as well, as is Gwyneth Paltrow, Odessa Zion, maybe Emma Blunt, but that's a stretch. So as an alternative, I'm going to go with Gwyneth Paltrow, but I digress. And then at number 6, I've already talked about number 6. I meant let's go to Best Supporting Actor, this category, my favorite category, because it's easy. These are the 6 locks. Moving on, honestly, I don't have anything else to add here. My alternative would be Delroy Lindo, probably, for Sinners, or I honestly don't know who else. I honestly don't know who's missing the Oscar nomination. We're moving on. And then Best Screenplay, I have these 6, surprise, surprise. Could Frankenstein surprise, or J. Kelly? Perhaps, but I do think that those are the firm picks for Best Screenplay at Golden Globes. And then Best Picture, non-English. Do you know what? They actually split the categories Best Picture, Drama, and Best Musical or Comedy, which is, of course, meant for maintaining a tradition from the older era of the awards and the film industry, and I get that. But the Oscars also split the screenplay category Best Original and Best Adapted Screenplay. But the Globes have just an isolated Best Screenplay category. Isn't that a little bit peculiar, isn't it? But imagine if they split the category in Best Original Screenplay and Best Adapted Screenplay, and they also split those 2 categories in Best Drama Screenplay and Best Musical or Comedy Screenplay Original, and then Best Adapted Drama Screenplay and Best Adapted Musical or Comedy Screenplay. That would be pretty cool, right? And 6 slots in every. Let's just nominate everyone. Let's just hand out those nominations like they're candy. And then Best Picture, non-English. I'm sorry, that was a sort of detour there. These are the 6. I mean, top 4 clear frontrunners, and then Shurat I do have in after its overperformance in Critics' Choice, which was a clear indicator that it does have awards push to it. And then at number 6, I do have The Voice of Hind Rajab. Definitely could see Left-Handed Girl either, or The President's Cake, both sort of squeezing in. Definitely those 2 are my alternatives that are floating around it in slot number 6. But Golden Globes, did I mention? That's the first time I'm mentioning this. This is a very populist precursor, and Voice of Hind Rajab definitely. I mean, the Palestinian propaganda is probably going to sort of work in the very populist and very naive voters here. So moving on to, don't want to get too political here, moving on to Best Picture Animated. And there's also major pause, since Brad Pitt and Joaquin Phoenix are both producing the film, and I mean, I can't call all of the voters naive. I mean, that would actually be fairly reductive, and I apologize for that. But are they populist, and do they care about the mass opinion, even though it might not be the most representative of the truth? Yes, they are. So Best Picture Animated, I do have the 5 that are nominated at Critics' Choice, and then at number 6, instead of that French animation, I do have Scarlett again. If Scarlett misses out on Golden Globes again, I mean, after it not getting in Critics' Choice. Scarlet's out. It's out. It's done. And I'm not predicting it again. So moving on to Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. I'm not really going to comment that much about this category. I'm just going to comment about my pick for the number 8 slot, which is the Demon Slayer film. I have a friend who is all over, he's salivating over this film, as well as Chainsaw Man. He's an anime fan, and he's a diehard anime fan, and he told me that this film smashed it. I mean, killed it in the box office, and this category being called Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, I believe a film that grossed ridiculous amount of money would be a deserved pick for this category. And then moving on to Best Original Score, guess what? I do have Daniel Lopatin for Marty Supreme. I'm not sure if he's getting into the Oscars because I do have Daniel Blumberg for Testament of Anley and the J. Kelly composer both getting in the Oscars instead of Daniel Lopatin and potentially Max Richter. But I do think that Marty Supreme's score is going to get nominated in a few places, so Golden Globes seems like a precursor that wouldn't go for the Testament of Anley in score. So I do have Daniel Lopatin and then Hans Zimmer for F1 because he's definitely going to be nominated here as well, and that's it. He's out of the Oscars. Please don't think that I believe that he's getting an Oscar nomination for his work in F1. It's a fairly propulsive and vibrant score, but that's about it. And then moving on to Best Original Song, I do have the 4 that I believe are, or actually the 3 that I believe are getting in the Oscars, with a caveat of Sinners and K-Pop Demon Hunters song potentially switching places. But I do have Testament of Van Lee, a second Wicked song, and the song from Train Dreams performed by Nick Cave. What a lovely song that is, and what a beautiful way to weave us out of the film in those end credits there. And I do think that Train Dreams is going to be sort of a resurgence moment in this awards race. And I believe that I'm done with my Golden Globes nominations. I'm extremely excited. I'm exuberant. I can't wait for these nominations, and I can't wait to provide you with a reaction video as I did with Critics' Choice. And that is a wrap. Thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Also, make sure to follow me on multiple social media platforms, including Letterboxd, for more film-related content, and the Awards Expert app for real-time Oscar predictions. The links are in the description. Can't wait for more coffee breaks. And until next time, pour yourself a fresh one.